What's going on, everyone? Nice to see you. My name is Micah and nicknamed Musa, host of the Something Like the Offseason podcast. I'm really excited to talk to you today about Andrew Sendejo in our latest episode. Andrew is an amazing story when it comes to resilience. This brother actually went undrafted and played in the league for 10 years. Actually, fun fact, signed up in the UFL for a season before starting his NFL journey. So 11 years of professional ball post-college. Andrew now runs a supplemental company called BrainTree Nutrition. Get into that a little bit. Talk about how he was able to make that transition from playing for 10 years, forever, seeming like a lifer, to all of a sudden getting the opportunity to start his own company and being successful in that. I think it's a great story to learn a little bit more about diligence, discipline, and commitment. That's really what Andrew's built his career on. Amazing story. Really excited for you all to check this one out. If you get a chance, you'll see a link in the description of this episode. Like, follow, subscribe, do all the good things so you can stay up to date on all the Something Like the Offseason material. Hope you have a good week, good day. Speak to you soon. Enjoy this episode. All right, here we go. First question. What was the moment you knew in college you were destined for the league? And what was the moment in high school you knew you were destined for college?
I'm not sure that when I was in college, I ever knew I was destined for the league. I think coming out of a school like Rice, until you have a couple of scouts kind of come by, you still don't really know. You always compare yourself to the other guys on your team, but you don't know how you compare to a lot of the other guys at the big schools. But I think, once I got to the UFL, so I was undrafted, went to 2 tryouts, didn't get signed. And then when I went to the UFL, it was a lot of guys that had either just come from the league or were at these big schools trying to make it to the league. And I think once we went through training camp, I was able to see okay, I can play with these guys. Then I was able to be side by side with them in the drills and whatnot. In high school, it was probably the spring ball going into my senior year, had my first, 1 AA school offer me. And so that was pretty early. So, I felt good about that I at least already had an offer on the table, to go play college ball. And still had to go through my senior year. So I felt much more confident in that transition going from high school to college than, that was why I went to Rice, was to get a good degree.
Right.
Not necessarily go play pro ball.
Right. And then in high school, it was just like, you had no idea.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I was definitely going to walk on to somewhere, probably one of the big schools. Because, I get recruited by some of the big schools, but never an offer or anything. They were always encouraging me to walk on. But, I thought I was going to be an engineer. And so that's why my calculus teacher said, if you go get an engineering degree from Rice, you're set. And so I said, all right, well, that's what I'm going to do then.
Let's do it. Okay. So sticking the ball, who was the toughest player you ever played against, whether it be college, high school, league? Who was the toughest you faced? Or it could be 1 or 2.
Man, in college, we actually ECU was in our conference, in Conference USA. And so there was a guy by the name of Chris Johnson who played running back that was really fast. So that guy was a monster in college that, before he obviously was great in college, but, nobody really knew his name until he got to the league and made a scene. So, and then in the league, I mean, shit, I had to play Aaron Rodgers twice a year. That was always, but you're not directly going against him like a receiver or something, but you're just still having to play the chess match with him especially as a secondary guy. But I mean, other than that, just I'm thinking about receivers that were just monsters, like Calvin Johnson. Had to play against him twice a year. Got a couple games against Julio in his prime. And then like as far as running backs, you know, had to play against Marshawn Lynch, who is obviously hard to tackle.
Yeah.
And guys, there's, you know, luckily I got to play long enough to play against a lot of really good players, so it's hard to really like narrow it down.
Oh yeah, you guys are in a tough division, and funny enough, you mentioned Chris Johnson. So before I transferred to Hampton, I played at Southern Miss.
Oh yeah.
So like I saw like some of the stories. You're a second ahead of me, but I saw some of the stories and stuff like that. For us, Kevin Smith was really big out of UCF.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Smith, he got close to breaking the like NCAA rushing record 1 year and stuff like that. So Conference USA had some talent. And when we played you all had like a 30-year-old tight end who was crazy. Not 30. He was maybe like 24 or 20.
Yeah. James Casey. He was my roommate.
James Casey. He was crazy.
Yeah.
He was crazy. He was good.
He was crazy. He's actually he just got inducted into the Rice Athletics Hall of Fame this year. But yeah, he was a beast on the field and in the classroom. And yeah, so that guy, I think he played one game actually against Southern Miss. I think he played like 5 or 6 different positions or something crazy. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, I remember that. I was redshirt, and I remember looking on the side, and I was like, "This guy makes no sense." He was returning punts. He was tight end, receiver, H back, quarterback. I was just like, "What?"
I think he got a half sack at DN too. He did the JOP jump on pile. He got a credit.
That's awesome. Okay. Next question. Name a player that you played with that you felt like should have gone like to the league and been like all world, but for whatever reason it didn't work. Someone who you played with, you're like, man, this guy or girl was like just insanely talented. It just never shook out.
Play with a lot of talented guys. It kind of goes to show that there's a lot of things that go into making it into the league, not just being talented. Like you could have all the attributes mentally, physically, and just sometimes it doesn't line up. You get put in a bad scheme that doesn't fit you, or you're just like 4th on the depth chart and you just have no chance. But I would say at Rice, our quarterback Chase Clement was a dog, set a bunch of records. Him and Jared Dillard like went off.
I remember Jared Dillard.
You know, and you know, I think he got a little bit of a look, went to the CFL. We actually were in the UFL at the same time, but the guy, you know, he was just a winner. Like even when he went to the UFL, like he took his UFL team all the way to the championship. But I think he just kind of was in that, you know, the scrambling quarterback wasn't as popular as it is now. And so that was kind of one of his, you know, that was one of his strengths that, you know, as a little white guy, he still could scramble around and make plays on his feet. But a little shorter, you know, maybe not like crazy arm strength, but just like a competitor or winner. And like, you know, as I played throughout the league there, I'd see backup quarterbacks or even practice squad guys that, you know, I was like, damn, like Chase is better than this guy. But it's just, like I said, it's hard to, you know, there's just a lot that goes into it. And then I had another guy at Rice that was just an absolute freak, Sam McGuffey.
From Cyprus, the guy
exactly.
who used to jump over people?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he still does that for fun, just on the weekends. He'll just jump over people and shit. But that guy was just a freak. He's a freak.
Didn't he go to Michigan? Oh, I don't know why.
He was at Michigan. He transferred to Rice. Because one of our other guys at Rice went to high school with him, kind of convinced him to come, you know, back to Houston. You know, just they tried to use him in a bunch of different ways on the offense, and even then he got to kind of bounce around to a few teams. But you know, obviously it was just a freak athlete, and then ended up going to be on the U.S. Olympic bobsled team.
What?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. He was on the U.S. bobsled team.
From Texas?
Yeah, bro. But like for bobsled, you just gotta fucking push that sled as fast as you
sprint 15 yards.
You gotta be like the perfect
power drive.
Yeah, you gotta be like the perfect size and speed that you can, you know, not too little to where you can't push heavy weight, but it can't be too big to where you can't run fast, and then you got to be small enough to fit in the damn sled.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the perfect little 5'10", like just box of muscle that could just do that. So,
That
and it
is
was perfect for him.
crazy.
He was great at just like going hard and going straight.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
Shout out to Sam McGuffey. Wow. YouTube legend. YouTube legend.
literally
For real.
YouTube legend.
Damn. Okay. Last question. What's the nicest thing a coach has ever done for you?
The nicest thing a coach has ever done for me would probably just be fucking yelling at me and getting on my ass for for messing up or not playing to the level that they knew I could play at. It sounds kind of counterintuitive to say that's a nice thing, but that's kind of what your coaches are there for, to like make you play outside of what you even think you can play at.
Keep that standard.
Yeah, and so without that, you naturally as a human will be selfish and yeah, and that's what you kind of, even the most driven people like ourselves still need that from time to time, just to get your ass chewed by your coach.
Yeah.
So I was lucky just to grow up at a high school. It was like your typical Friday Night Lights high school, super old school, military, and these guys they ran a really tight ship.
Wow.
No cussing, clean shaven, very old school. Yes sir, no sir.
Wow.
Couldn't be super flashy with the uniforms or whatever, and just really set the kind of foundation for my football style of play.
Right.
Just kind of old school. So yeah, just thankful for those guys.
Shout out to those coaches. What high school was that? Who was the head coach?
The Smithson Valley Rangers. That's right outside of San Antonio.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Rangers.
I know. Yeah, Coach Larry Hill. He's the head coach. He's still there. They actually have their opening game tonight. But yeah, a lot of the coaching staff is still there. They've been there for a long time.
Wow.
So he'll probably, if I had to guess, I'll at least lobby for this, is to, whenever he finally retires there, to probably change the name of the stadium after him, or get him a nice little statue or something. He probably won't want it, but we'll make it happen anyways.
Nice. Okay, good. All right. So you stopped playing ball, and unlike most people, right? Like I played 4 years, but I barely have like a pension. I was just like on the sideline there for the national anthem and sat down. Like you actually played for 10 plus years. You stopped playing ball. What was your first thought? When was your first thought that A, I might need to retire, and B, that okay, I'm really gonna have to retire, and it sunk in?
Yeah, I think as I got closer to year 10, I kind of just set that as my goal to make it 10 years. It's obviously extremely hard to do, and I thought it would just sound nice post career to be like I played 10 years. So anything after that was bonus for me. I got it just, again, kind of just things aligned. My 10th year, I was actually I ended up I was in Philly, and then I got released and went back to Minnesota as a backup. So going into my 11th year, the free agency market is not really looking for a backup old white safety, so I was like, okay, like I'm probably done. I got 10 years. Cool. Well, a lot of my coaches from Minnesota went to Cleveland. And so it was COVID year. There wasn't going to be, OTAs and all this stuff to learn the defense. So they needed someone that knew all the special teams, all the defense. So I ended up signing with Cleveland, got another bonus year. And then I was like, okay, now I'm definitely done. Like, same thing, like a 12th year, luckily, I wasn't an expensive free agent. So it kind of helped that I had like half of my career was like just being a special teams player, and the other half was being a starter. Being affordable, that also helped. And then just going into my 12th year, had a couple workouts during camp, and they're always kind of looking for some vets in case, shit hits the fan or whatever. And had a coach that I had early in my career that they wanted a veteran backup safety in case someone went down. They could have someone that could and would still play special teams or whatever. So then I signed it in Indy and, um, played well. But again, I was 34. I was going to be, if I went for a 13th year, I was going to be 35. And I still had a couple of my coaches. It was funny, not a lot of like GMs, but a lot of coaches were like, hey, if some shit goes down, we need a veteran, like we're gonna call you.
Right.
So like be in shape. So I was like halfway in shape. My last year, I had 2 concussions. My last play was a really bad one. So it was always kind of like, okay, I can walk, mentally all there for the most part, but I always told myself I would just max it out, like as far
Right.
as I could go. But I just knew that I was okay either way, like if it had ended or not. So was able to get the 12 years,
It's
and
amazing.
and like I said, like you know, I'm not totally fucked up. I can still walk, still talk.
Right. Super
Nothing
sharp.
major.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
That's
I
dope.
would say, yeah, I maxed it out for as much longer than I especially thought I was going to play, being
Yeah.
undrafted, going to the UFL. Like if you would have told me I would have played 12 years, I would have told you you were full of shit.
For sure, for sure. And you get done playing ball. What if ever? What time, if ever, did you say like, you know what? All right, why not? Why not 13? I already did 12. Why not 13? I know you had the concussion, but did you ever think like maybe let me just pop out here and see? Did you ever think about it?
I mean, I also knew I was done because I couldn't even. I think I went to go like sprint on the track one day and my hamstring just exploded, and I was like, yeah, I can't even run anymore. So I knew I wouldn't be able to make it through a game or anything, and it wasn't it wasn't anything and I had already kind of started, some of my business stuff, and
Right.
it was almost kind of delaying getting that up and going, and
Right.
it was like, okay, the longer you keep playing ball, like you're gonna have to put this on the side, and
Right.
so it was kind of a combination of things, that all went into it.
I got you. So you get done, no looking back, and talk to me a little bit about like how we get to BrainTree. Like what inspired you to get into the supplement game? Obviously, that's something we're talking about. A lot of science. You got an engineering background. What made you feel comfortable to transition in that way, as opposed to maybe doing something that more people are familiar with? Like a lot of guys who play ball just go into real estate right away and stuff like that. And while that's complicated and it's in its own way, it's something more familiar. Talk to me about like your journey in that way.
Yeah, I think while I was playing, I'd already done all the real estate stuff, and that was kind of just
Right.
more passive on the side.
Right.
Not something I wanted to do full time. And then just for me, I'd always kind of been into health, wellness, nutrition. I actually have the Andrew Sendejo Nutrition Center in the Rice weight room
There we
that
go.
I sponsored, and I was kind of just always the supplement guy in the locker room on the team. So
Mhm.
guys would ask me about different ingredients, different stuff they should take. Like at
Mhm.
one point early in my career, I would have to bring enough pre-workout for the entire team for game day. So I would have to your travel bags, you put all your shoulder pads on and stuff, and
Yeah,
I'd have to
yeah,
get
yeah,
a
yeah.
whole extra travel bag just so I
Oh
could
wow.
load up like 6 or 7 canisters of pre-workout for the whole team. I'd have to give it to the coaches, everybody. So I kind of already had that background to
That
where
niche. Yeah.
I could talk to people about it, and they believed me and they trusted me. I was always kind of like, the try hard white guy. So I was always in really good shape. So they also believed when I was like, this will make you, this will increase your endurance. You'll be able to you're not going to get tired. You're going to recover better. They're like, oh, I believe you because I see you at practice.
Right, right.
Um, but a lot of that was just because I was a slow twitch athlete is really what it was. Uh, but then, my business partner and I, he was the same way on his team. And actually, a lot of the stuff I learned was from him. So whenever I would have questions, I would go to him. I'm like, hey, what does this do? What does this do?
Mm.
And so we noticed while we were playing, there wasn't a lot of, or really any products that kind of fit this niche of brain health, of
Right.
neuroprotection for the repetitive hits to the head, the concussions to
Mm.
help with focus. We all know that the NFL has really strict protocols on prescribing ADHD medication.
Right.
And so giving something that was safe and transparent from an NSF certified lab that guys could take to help focus in meetings, remember plays, and then also just, like I said, to help with the repetitive TBIs and hits to the head. So we hired his mom as our neurologist on our medical advisory staff to help us with the research, to bounce studies off of, or really to interpret a lot of these studies too, because if you ever read them, they're not just in plain English for all of us to understand. And so just kind of using a combination of what we knew with our neurologist to help formulate this. And then we kind of just waterfalled into all these other facets and really laid it out for people. If you want your brain to kind of function optimally, these are kind of the areas that you need to address. And so we went into these different areas and to just make safe, transparent, and affordable products so that everyone could have access to these types of products for better brain health, versus a lot of these companies are using proprietary blends and fillers and whatnot just to have the best margins so they can make the most money. We were in a different position to where we didn't have to do that. We were able to make something that was quality. And so, we transitioned into that and just been, working on that full steam ahead.
Love it. So, I mean, you're, like I said, 10 plus year NFL vet, engineer in Rice. So, obviously the elevator goes all the way to the top. Can you talk me through like your process in thinking about starting this business and, maybe how playing ball helped you in getting going and now maintaining and thriving as you all are doing now?
Yeah, it's funny that you can almost apply football skill set and mentality to almost anything, and you kind of just copy and paste a lot of that. It's like, or think about when you're training to get ready for the season. It's like, are you working harder than the rest of the guys? Are you studying harder? Are you trying to get the edge? So a little bit of that kind of mentality like applies to like, are we working harder than the others, supplement brands? Are we trying to get better or trying to improve? Where can we improve? As an athlete, you're kind of used to always, reflecting on where can I get better at? And so I would say another part is that just used to like grinding, like, during the season, you're up, you work from, 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. and you can just do that. And like for me personally, I was just used to that. I could get up, I could study before meetings, go to meetings, practice, do our lift, whatever, and I could watch film all the way till I fell asleep. So for me, like I'm just used to being able to work like all day long and just shut everything else out. So I think just being used to those types of hours and that helps me to where, it's not something I'm not used to doing.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like, man, okay, I know for a fact I could go coach, I could do something else that's way easier than trying to introduce a brain supplement like to the mass market? Did you ever think like in your process of starting BrainTree that like, you know what, man, maybe I should just go do something else? And if you did think that, what kept you kind of locked in, right? Because it's all net new for you, right? Like there's nothing about what you're doing that's, while it does support football players, this is pure science. Like this is real science, real stuff, right? Like healthcare, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think obviously when you play football for so long, it's kind of what you're used to, and coaching is, man, that's actually, their hours are crazy. Actually, I mean, those guys,
wild.
Like at least as a player, you have an off day where if you really wanted to, you could check out for a couple hours. The coaches do not have that. They all season long, they have to game plan, prep, meeting. They go to meetings after our meetings.
Exactly.
So although they're not, they're for the amount of hours they work, they're not getting paid the way that much. So, and to me, coaching, I look up to my coaches. They've obviously impacted my life a lot. And the part of me does feel like, that's your way of paying it forward, is to now help coach the next generation of young men and what you could possibly do to impact their lives in a positive way. but to me, I would rather just. I feel like I would rather just go like volunteer coach for free than like go do it as a full-time job. Like just like drop in on a high school and just be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll help you guys out just to be
Right.
around ball. But it makes sense why a lot of guys transition into coaching, because it's kind of one of the only ways to still get that high of football, is because you're still so involved and you still get to be
Right.
there.
Right.
The highs and the lows of the season, someone makes a big play, you still get all the same, kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
fix,
Yeah.
without having to actually like run into people all day. So,
Yeah.
so it makes sense, to why a lot of guys do it. And, but yeah, it was always something that I knew I could probably just do without having to, with just the resume alone. But I don't know. I think I wanted to have just a different schedule of life, of like just being
Right.
so balls deep in the football world, and like not having any
Right.
contact with family or relationships or whatever. Because I mean, you really don't ever see your family or anything. Even when the off season comes, the coaches, as soon as the season's over, they stay and they go through the whole
Right.
season of film, and okay, what do we got to do for next year? What do we like? It's a constant year round thing. So it's just, it wasn't
Crazy.
something I wanted to go into. I wanted to be able to enjoy the fruits of
Mhm.
my labor of playing for so long,
Right.
to like actually have free time to go be with friends, family,
Exactly.
relationships, whatnot.
Exactly. And you mentioned like that high, right? Like we all know it, right? You knock somebody out, big breakup, big pick. Someone else, the offense is out, big play, like, game winning field goal, all that type of stuff. Do you feel like you're getting that same sort of energy from Braintree, or what are your thoughts on that? Like the excitement you get?
That's why we're grinding over here, so we can get that, uh I think, I'm just, a lot of guys, they'll talk about like, do you miss this or miss that? And to me, I always think about it, I'm just thankful that I got to experience those highs at that
Mm,
level, versus being upset that I can't fill that void anymore.
mm,
And that's, I guess that's how I feel that void, is by like just being thankful that I was able to experience those for such a long time. So um, I don't really think about the like not getting that fix anymore.
right.
Um, I think I got enough of it you know, to
Did
tide
you
me over for a long time.
for a minute? Yeah. Is that something you think you've always had, or is that something you think you had to like kind of learn the sort of like act of humility to say like, you know what? I had an amazing career. 99% of people that enter the league don't see 10 years, don't even sniff it, right? I did 10 plus, like I'm okay. Or did it take time for you to say, like, you know what, I'm good? I'm just curious.
I think you just kind of have to face that you'll not get that kind of dopamine release from a football play again. And like I said, you just kind of face that, and then that you were lucky to even have it. So,
Right.
and if you, to me, it's sitting there and dwelling on the fact that you won't get that again. It doesn't, it's not going to help anything. Like, so just fucking sack up and move on.
Exactly, exactly. And as far as you starting with Braintree and stuff like this, maybe is there anything that you know now about entrepreneurship that before, because you already had experience doing stuff in real estate and investing and stuff like that, but with Braintree, with this puppy, and just entrepreneurship in general, is there anything specific that you think, man, I wish I knew that before? It would have saved me a whole bunch of time, energy, and money. Like, what are maybe some of like the pro tips you have for people who are leaving ball or transitioning into entrepreneurship after playing ball? That like, man, think about this, right? Like, just some thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's you know im- important to have something that's going to challenge you, that it's going to
Mm,
require you to keep your interest, and you're going to learn. um that's something that's kind of kept me going, is that I'm learning new information all the time, learning
mm,
about new industries, and something that's kind of gives you something to look forward to, like to continue to learn more, and the ins and outs of just different areas.
mm,
I think the one big transition was just realizing that a lot of people don't abide by kind of the sense of urgency and discipline that you have in the NFL. You know, a lot of people that I've come across or, worked with in various capacities, if it was an NFL game, they would have just been released like the next day. So, and not a lot of people are used to having someone kind of speak to them in a very assertive tone.
Oh yeah, for
Whereas
sure.
like us, in a meeting in front of your whole team and staff and everybody, you're basically getting called out and embarrassed in front of everybody if you fuck up. So
Yeah.
I think, getting used to getting motherfucked like all the
Yeah.
time, you're kind of numb to a lot of things. You're not nervous about anything. It'll never compare to the nerves you get of having to perform under pressure in a game, having to be constantly critiqued every day at practice,
Every day.
every year, like always someone trying to take your job.
Right.
So like now there's no meeting or no call that I take that I get a little nerved up about. Like it's not really shit compared to what you had to deal with, like about to go have to, cover Julio Jones like all game, It's like, or like, am I gonna be able to fucking tackle Marshawn Lynch? Like, I don't know. We're gonna find out. So there's definitely a lot of differences. You have to
Right.
get used to the fact that not a lot of people are extremely passionate about their job like we are with football, or we were with football, and that a lot of people, that's just not the way their life worked. This is the job that they have and they just do it. And so practicing patience has been tough, a tough transition there, and just having to realize that not everybody does their job as if there's a big game at the end of the week.
Right. Right.
So
And that's something, yeah, no, and to that point, that's something I tell people all the time, right? Like, so now I've been fortunate to work at like, Fortune ones and stuff like that. And when people are like, man, Musa, you come with so much energy. You're so passionate. You're like, everything is so serious. I was like, you have no idea what it's like to see your best friend come in and like miss an assignment and then get cut that evening. Right.
yeah.
Or in my case, I've been cut, at the end of the game, like a block in the back on a punt return. It's like, oh, and you
Yeah.
just know that like, hey, we gotta let you'll be back, but
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
It's a different energy.
Right.
You got, as far as like BrainTree is concerned, anything exciting we should be on the lookout for? I don't know when this thing will drop, but for sure it'll be sooner than later. But anything people should be on the lookout for?
Man, we just had our a recent launch of our newest product within the line is our brain water
Yep.
electrolytes plus focus, our stick pack product added to water. It's been doing well, and just kind of another, especially down here in Texas, it's hot. Just another area of cognitive function and brain health. So we addressed the focus, memory, neuroprotection. We addressed the gut-brain connection with our ultra-strength probiotic. We addressed the oxidative stress and cortisol levels, how that affects brain health, and then our sleep aid. And so this last portion of that, we noticed there was a need for a better hydration product that wasn't completely full of sugar or completely full of salt. So we had our blend of patented ingredients for electrolytes, and then added some ingredients in there for cognitive function, physical stamina, and just a awesome taste, awesome flavor. So that's been going well, and it's also kind of just helping us to introduce people to the other products, because when you have something that tastes well and it's a summertime drink, going around having people try it and sample it, they get introduced to all the other products, and we kind of just put it all out there, like, hey, these are 5 different products that you can take. We just made it easy for you guys. We did all the research for you. You don't have to do it. Like, here it is. All you got to do is just take them. So it's been exciting. It's been challenging, and just continuing to work on it, and just like anything, man, just continuing to work, but never satisfied.
Exactly. I love it. If someone wants to reach out to you, someone's like, man, Andrew, this is amazing. I want to work with BrainTree. maybe I'm starting my own company, or maybe I'm interested in the nutrition space in general, what's the best way for them to reach out to you? And we're not giving out numbers, but what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, I think we actually have like our contact email on our website, BrainTreeNutrition.com. You can find us there. You can find us on socials at BrainTree Nutrition, anything like that. Or you can find me on my personal socials at Andrew Sendejo. Don't ask me how to spell that. So
We'll put it.
yeah,
We'll put it. We'll put it. We'll put it in the
yeah,
video. No doubt, man. Appreciate it so much. Thanks, man.
yeah, man.
Congratulations on all that you do. Amazing career in Braintree, and shout out to you living in the hottest city in the world right now, which is Austin. So we're both indoors right now.
Yeah,
But shout out to Austin. Appreciate
yeah.
you, man. Thank
All
you
right,
so
man.
much.
Thank you. Yeah.
No
See ya.
doubt.